Make sure to check out duellinksmeta.com if you want to see the box tier list and gem guide updated with the new set plus re-released old sets. Thank you patrons for the support. You could become a patron for $1 or more to receive advanced tips, priority advice, previews of future decks and content, and text and voice chat with a competitive community. This is a duel quiz from my Discord of a situation I came across in game. I will pin the first YouTube comment to answer it correctly, followed by myself replying to it with my in-depth answer. Take the time to pause and read it carefully before answering. Understanding the answer will give you a big competitive edge. Before we get into the deck list, I'm going to explain how this deck works. What makes this deck good? These four main cards: Kaibaman, Blue Eyes, Storm, and Champion Vigilance. Your absolute goal is to stall until you have these four cards. Last Gamble is the skill we are using here to help you get to these four cards as soon as possible. I believe this is the best Last Gamble deck, as it doesn't rely on OTKing your opponent, but instead setting up a game-winning field presence. These are my cards of choice that will help you stall till turn 5 or 6 in order to use Last Gamble. Blue Dragon Summoner to block attacks and search Blue Eyes. Enemy Controller to stop attacks, combo with Blue Dragon Summoner, and its overall versatility. Windstorm is extremely helpful in getting you to turn 5. Just one Windstorm is enough to stall for Last Gamble in most situations when starting second, which I will talk about in a bit. While you can't use Sphere Karibo to combo with Storm, Sphere Karibo is great for pushing an extra turn before using Last Gamble safely, and if they don't force you to use it, then you get to have an extra card to discard, which can be crucial. Here are other cards you could use to help stall. You could also use other monsters like 4-star Ladybug, but it is very important to have enough cards that work with Storm in this deck. Here's an example how usually starting first will go. Ideally with Kaibaman you want to start turn 1, as you will likely only need one card to stall till turn 5. This is why starting turn 2 can be rough. If they summon a monster every turn, you're going to likely need 3 stall cards, or an early Kaibaman effect, or a Windstorm, or a good enemy controller play with Blue Dragon Summoner or Kaibaman. Now you may be wondering why no Wild Tornado. That is because besides forcing early storms before Last Gambling, it doesn't usually help you stall until Last Gamble, and it's also not needed after you Last Gamble. In most situations, it's what I would refer to as a win more card. Rarely it is truly needed to win the game. Starting off the gameplay with showing you the importance of setting your toggle to on in some situations. What happened here is my opponent has decided to stall until I deck out by continually setting his monsters. My only viable play is to negate my own monster summon, to free up my back row so I could use enemy controller. You must have the toggle set to on to negate your own summon with Champion Vigilance. Remember, your mindset is stall until the last possible moment before you think you will lose, then you use Last Gamble. Blindly using Last Gamble as soon as you can is a poor way to play. It's best to prioritize holding on to enemy controllers after Champion's Vigilance when choosing cards to use with Storm. You want to focus on removing normal monsters so they can't use Order to Charge against you. In this situation I decide to go for game. As soon as my Blue Eyes attack enters in the battle step, that is when I could start activating as many cards as I want while being immune to Sphere Karibo. As you could see in the opponent's perspective, they did have a Sphere Karibo. Because they decided to save the Sphere Karibo instead of using it on my attack declaration, he allowed me to become immune to Sphere Karibo when using my enemy controllers.
Duel.
Against Relinquished, it generally isn't safe to summon Blue Dragon Summoner unless you have an enemy controller. Enemy controller will prevent Relinquish from taking your Blue Dragon Summoner. I simply pass knowing all 3 Thunder Dragons are in the grave, so I am safe from losing unless he uses Interdimensional Matter Transporter to make room, which I can't do anything about that anyway. If he has anything to stop my Blue Dragon Summoner attacking Relinquished, then I lose the game right there. Pausing after that last gamble draw, we could see that while rolling a 5 is lucky, it wasn't needed. A 3 in this scenario is great, but we could also have managed with just a 2. Luckily, he doesn't have a Sphere Karibo after clearing the enemy controller. With 2 Champion's Vigilance on the field and one of his rituals already used, there isn't much he could do outside of using the ritual spell twice, and then following up with an enemy controller play. I feel safe summoning Blue Dragon Summoner due to Relinquished player usually not playing anything stronger, and I have 2 negates.
Duel.
Here's a game where I was testing Wild Tornado. At 1600 life, I make the decision that I must use Last Gamble now, or I will lose. The Taya player makes a crucial misplay which wins the game for me. All Taya had to do was to not flip summon her monster, as Champion's Vigilance cannot negate flip effects. Luckily for me, I know no one plays Taya Burn to put thought into their plays.
Duel.
Against Harpies we go second, which is bad for us if we didn't have a Windstorm in our hand. I have to hope that on her 3rd turn she doesn't pop my Windstorm with her field spell. Luckily for us, her aggressive Elegant Egotist play has saved us from losing due to getting rid of her own field spell to keep our Windstorm safe. Forced to use Storm on both of our champion Vigilances because we cannot let her stop our Kaibaman play with an enemy controller or an order to charge, but she had both face down. With the champion's vigilance, we are now in a good position. Wanting to end the game soon, I make the big decision of taking at least 1000 life point damage off her life points. This puts her at 1 Blue Eyes attack from game, or 2 Blue Dragon Summoner attacks from game. Here's the Kaibaman mirror match from my perspective. I'm forced to set 2 enemy controllers in case he summons another Blue Eyes. Rolling a 6 was great for us, but we only needed a 3. Not much he could do after I broke his field and set up my own. Not wanting to be stalled until I deck out, I feel safe assuming he doesn't play anything with 1600 defense or more in his Kaibaman deck. I make sure to use Champion's Vigilance here to avoid a wild tornado play. Now I generally don't want to show games against my opponent getting unlucky, as this Venus player doesn't open with Venus, but a good play from his part keeps him in the game that I want to show you all. This is the play I was referring to. Because he destroyed my cards, Storm's effect does nothing. A more practical counter that all decks can use is using Straight Flush to achieve the same result of stopping a full Storm play. In this game against Gravekeepers is when I was testing out Double Summon, which I didn't end up using in this game. Gravekeepers generally won't be able to defeat you before you use Last Gamble. hope you all enjoyed this video, even though it took me a long time to release it. Remember, if you want, answer the duel quiz I showed you at the start of this video.